part of that total package, and we have an additional, and then what's that going to be next year and the following year. So I want quality teachers. I want to have easy access. I don't know if that's the end all be all whether they come to us or not. But thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other questions or comments at this time? Commissioner King?
Thank you. I'm going to stay on the same subject, and please bear with me. So, just as a preface to the questions that I'm going to ask, I think that all of us are acutely aware that our HR process has been broken for a long time, and we need to have something different, because we've been losing a lot of teachers who have, frankly, lost patience with our process, not just on the PATS system, on the technology side of it, but also, I believe, on the human resources people side of it. So there are two parts here. So we do know that something's got to change, and so let me go back through a timeline. So about 3 years ago, we talked about the fact that Ration 1's processes were old and that we needed to look at comprehensively at finding a new ERP system. That was about 2 or 3 years ago. We hired a consultant, which we paid lots of money, that went throughout the different departments and evaluated the needs and compiled just analysis, et cetera, so that we could get a better picture of what the district needed. We also, at the same time, paid close to $50,000 an HR consultant, I believe it was Tidwell, to do an HR analysis of our own processes. Once the consultant for the ERP system came back with a recommendation, we purchased, or taxpayers purchased, and I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 million. So at that point, I would have imagined that somebody would have said, at the needs analysis standpoint, what we have in the PAT system in Munis is really not working. It's cumbersome. We're losing people because we were already losing people 2 or 3 years ago. So the problem of teachers is not new, or applicants. So, I'm a little baffled by the fact that we didn't change things back then. And then I read here that in January of 2018, the district upgraded its financial system with town hall, blah, blah, blah. And in assessing the existing Munis software module, which should have been done 2 years ago with a consultant, Human Resources determined the applicant traffic module of Munis implemented in January 2018 displayed weaknesses in functionality. Okay, but we should have known that at the time that we were selecting the vendor 2 years ago. And so in January 2018, so then I go through the documentation that you gave us, sort of last minute, because we didn't have time to really vet this in committee meeting. And I see that the proposal from this vendor came in September 7th, right? And now we're November, whatever. So it's already 2 months ago that came to us, and it's coming only here. And it's coming to us as a emergency procurement. So I was really surprised, because I did just a little bit of research, because you're a professional. You deal with emergency procurement all the time. But what concerns me, Dr. Witherspoon, is although I truly understand the need, and I truly understand the urgency, I couldn't really understand how this actually really constituted an emergency procurement system per state law. So I looked at it, and I looked at what it said. And it said that an emergency is an immediate threat to public health, welfare, critical economy, etc., and provided that such emergency procurement shall be made as much as competition as practical. Does this come as a sole vendor, or have we also looked at other software? Or was it just from the get-go we were going to go with that?
Attorney Williams.
Ms. King, the procurement code, which is our procurement code that was approved by the state of South Carolina, does allow us to make a decision with regard to what we determine to be an emergency. And it does state specifically when there exists an immediate threat to public health, welfare, critical economy and efficiency or safety under emergency conditions as defined in the district's regulations, and provided that such emergency procurement shall be made with as much competition as practical under the circumstances. Under the circumstances, this is a need that needs to happen very quickly. When you go back and look at critical economy and efficiency, the system that was put in, we really don't have time to work out all of those kinks timely enough to be successful in hiring individuals. And then you go on and it talks about safety under emergency conditions. We are very competitive. If we don't get teachers, if we don't get instructional assistants, as has been applicable, appropriately stated here tonight, then we could have a serious emergency issue if we don't have enough people in place timely enough to take care of our students. And as you're aware, all of you are aware, we have special needs students that we're working with, and we need even more teachers to address those concerns. And the district has made the determination that this qualifies as an emergency to move forward so that we can move forward with hiring and avoiding some of these emergency situations that could happen if we don't have a sufficient number of people in place to start the next school year.
Ms. Williams, I understand all of that. What I'm saying is that when I did a little bit of research, okay, I understand that we are in a dire situation, but it's been coming along all along, and it's not as defined. The circumstances of that the district faces might constitute a crisis. It certainly is a crisis. We know that. But it certainly does not constitute an emergency under procurement, because it says, according to the Supreme Court, that an emergency is an immediate threat that is one at hand, and not an anticipated threat. We've seen this coming for years now, and we haven't done anything about it. So I'm sure the votes, it will pass. But I just want to share with you a frustration, because that also, if this is challenged, that represents a legal challenge for the district. We could be challenged on this, that, there was not a competition, there was no competition that was, it stipulates very, already the case of the emergency is highly arguable, because it's not sudden, and it says an immediate threat that is one that is at hand, not an anticipated threat, but one that arose suddenly. This did not arise suddenly, and with no delay of lapse in time in its generation. This has been coming on for years, is what I'm saying. And then finally, I'll say that it also, in the emergency, the definition of emergency, it also said that, and it provides that such emergency procurement shall be made with as much competition as is practical under the circumstances. And, there are other vendors that provide that. So it's going to pass, but I just wanted to say that, it came in late into the game. There was no vetting, certainly not in my committee. Otherwise, I would have shared that in committee. And I really hope that this is the right system, because lots of districts are sharing it, although some of them are not. Like Greenville is not part of this. And I'm just hoping that down the road, the Common App concept is not going to come back and bite us, and where, if we don't have the right systems in place, we're not fast enough, etc. So I'll close with that. On the other contract, the desktop computers, I see that it's for K through 2. So is that a replacement of the desktops so those are desktops that were needed, that were maybe cannot from the issue that we had before,
That's
from
correct.
the vulnerability standpoint, and we're replacing them with that? Is that what it is?
That's correct. And one thing I should point out is the quantity originally presented was 1,308, and that has been revised to 1,013. So I wanted to point that out. The price is the same, and also originally it didn't show any computers for Forest Heights, and now there are 32 computers included for Forest Heights.
Okay, so is this the first phase, by the way? Or are we going to have more desktops also for elementary 3 to 5, and then are we going to have somewhat of a replacement on the desktops, or are we keeping the whatever teachers have on the laptops that they currently have? Are we replacing any of the?
There may
desktops?
be some other replacement cycles to come.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Regardless, you will still have replacement cycles
Okay.
that happen.
So there will be some new desktops in replacement to the ones that were
Not necessarily desktops. There may be desktops, but not in the sense of there may be labs, some other situations where there will be replacements. We have admin computers and for other types of programs. So there may indeed be other replacements to come.
Okay.
Commissioner Bishop,
Just real quick, 12.02. I want to be very clear about my question. Will this be in place due to emergency, due to regular procurement or whatever, to help us become more competitive as a district in the application process for quality candidates? Will this be in place by January? I'm looking at the calendar. We're about to be out for Christmas break. When will it be done? That's the first question. It's a projection. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. The second question is, what makes us so sure that this will fix it?
First question, Commissioner Bishop.
Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon.
Thank you. First question, we look to have this transition in place first of the year. I cannot give you right now. It's
Just ask for a projection.
January 2nd. No,
Okay.
sir. But we're looking at some point in the first of the year.
Thank you.
Can give you, after staff does some
Yeah.
diligence after this meeting, we can come back with an anticipated site. But our goal
Appreciate
is
that.
time. But our goal, as indicated, is to have this in place, tested,
Yes.
all of those things in place before we get into the throes of the 19 hiring season,
Good.
2019 hiring season. Your second question, in terms of will this assist with the process and all of that? Yes, it will. And again, part of some of the due diligence that staff was doing was to check with other districts in South Carolina, other districts in the southeast or across the country
Mm-hmm.
that have munis. For example, the state of Kentucky, for the finance piece, uses munis.
Mm-hmm.
And there are districts in the state of Kentucky that also have this, and that also have the same interface and those types of things, and it works.
Same unique issue.
Same unique issues.
Okay.
So we did charge staff with doing that due diligence.
Good.
Go see, where is this working? Conference call, those types of things. So there was a period of time with some due diligence
Okay.
in ensuring that where this has indeed worked in other locations, as has indicated, I think there are 30, and that's in some documentation, 30 some districts in the state of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
All of our neighboring districts in the Midlands use this particular applicant
Application.
tracking portal. There are other districts in the state that use this that also have Munis
Yeah.
as well. So we did need to do some due diligence in terms of transition and so forth, and ensuring compatibility and what would take in that place. So we do feel confident in that regard.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon.
Thank you, Commissioner Bishop. I just have one question for point of clarification, Dr. Witherspoon, for me, and Dr. Long, one of you can answer this. Bringing Frontline to us, is this not in response to our request as a board, when we realized that there were some issues that we had, I think at the beginning of the school year, that was, yeah, we've had some HR things, but because of that process, that PATS process, we were losing candidates. This is a response to that main concern, that we were losing so many candidates because our process is so long and we knew it was faulty. This is the response to that, correct?
This is the response.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
that's for my clarification. I appreciate it. At this time, we're going to call for the vote. There are no more questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those that oppose signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. All those in favor signify with a raising of your hand. Commissioner Devine, Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Sauls, Commissioner Bishop, nay. Commissioner King, Commissioner Black, one abstention from Commissioner Anderson. The motion passed for the two items that's listed here under Office of Operations. Thank you so much, Mr. Hardison.